On the morning of Saturday, July 28, 1945, the routine of New York City was about to be shattered. World War II was nearing its end in the Pacific, but the atmosphere over Manhattan was thick with an unrelated challenge: dense fog. During this period, Lieutenant Colonel William F. Smith Jr. was piloting a B-25 Mitchell bomber. His flight originated from Bedford Army Air Field in Massachusetts. The objective was a routine personnel transport mission, destined for Newark Metropolitan Airport in New Jersey. As events unfolded, Smith approached the New York metropolitan area. Air traffic control at LaGuardia Field advised him of near-zero visibility blanketing the city. They strongly recommended against attempting a landing at Newark under such conditions. Despite the warning, Smith requested and received clearance to proceed, albeit under the VFR or Visual Flight Rules condition that he maintain a minimum altitude and visibility, which were rapidly becoming impossible. He descended, hoping to navigate beneath the oppressive cloud layer. Subsequently, the bomber arrived over Midtown Manhattan, flying much lower than regulations permitted for instrument conditions. Smith became disoriented within the thick fog. After navigating past the prominent Chrysler Building, a critical navigational error occurred. He turned right instead of the required left turn towards Newark. In the year 1945, the Empire State Building stood as the tallest man-made structure on Earth. Traveling at an estimated 200 miles per hour, the 10-ton bomber flew directly towards its northern face. At 9:40 a.m., a tremendous impact occurred. The B-25 struck the building between the 78th and 79th floors. The sound was deafening, echoing through the surrounding streets despite the muffling fog. One engine tore through the building, exiting the south side and landing on the roof of a nearby structure several blocks away, igniting a fire. The second engine and parts of the landing gear plummeted down an elevator shaft. Fuel from the ruptured tanks ignited instantly, sending flames through the impacted floors and down stairwells. Office workers on the 79th floor, primarily employed by the War Relief Services of the National Catholic Welfare Council, bore the brunt of the collision. Tragically, the crash claimed 14 lives. All 3 crew members aboard the bomber perished. 11 people inside the Empire State Building lost their lives due to the impact and subsequent fires. Remarkably, despite the catastrophic event, the building's structural integrity held firm. Firefighters battled the blaze, containing it relatively quickly under the circumstances. The damage was estimated at $1 million at the time, a significant sum. One astonishing survival story emerged from the chaos. Elevator operator Betty Lou Oliver was injured on the 80th floor. While rescuers were transporting her downwards in an elevator, its cables, weakened by the fire and impact, snapped. She survived a plunge exceeding 70 floors, cushioned perhaps by the severed cables accumulating beneath the elevator car. The incident served as a stark reminder of the dangers of navigating dense urban environments in poor visibility, even for experienced pilots. It stood for decades as a unique, albeit tragic, intersection of aviation and architecture in the heart of the city. Emergency services responded swiftly despite the challenging conditions imposed by the fog. Firefighters ascended the building's stairwells, carrying heavy equipment to combat the intense flames fueled by aviation gasoline. During this period, recovery efforts commenced to retrieve those lost in the tragedy. The work was harrowing, conducted amidst wreckage and structural damage high above the city streets. Subsequently, investigations began to determine the precise causes of the crash. The dense fog and the pilot's decision to descend below safe minimums in violation of instrument flight rules were identified as primary factors. The navigational error after passing the Chrysler Building sealed the bomber's fate. News of the unprecedented event spread rapidly, initially through radio broadcasts. In an era before constant television news, word of mouth and newspaper extras carried the shocking details across the city and the nation. The timing was poignant. Just weeks later, World War II would formally conclude. The crash served as a grim, isolated incident of wartime machinery causing civilian tragedy on home soil, unrelated to enemy action. Despite the spectacular nature of the crash and the resulting fire, repairs to the Empire State Building began almost immediately. Workers swiftly cleared debris and began restoring the damaged floors. Remarkably, much of the building remained open for business on the following Monday. The structural resilience demonstrated during the incident became a testament to its engineering. Though largely overshadowed by the monumental events surrounding the end of the war, the memory of that foggy Saturday morning lingered. It remained a unique and sobering chapter in the history of New York City and aviation safety. Cleanup operations involved complex logistical challenges. Removing the wreckage, particularly the heavy engine components lodged deep within the structure and elevator shafts, required considerable effort and ingenuity. Personal accounts from those within the building, but below the impact zone, described the terrifying jolt and the immediate confusion that followed. Many initially believed a bomb had struck, a common fear during wartime. Down on the streets, pedestrians felt debris raining down, adding to the alarm caused by the tremendous noise of the collision. The pervasive fog, however, limited awareness of exactly what had transpired high above. As events unfolded, the story became a media sensation, capturing public attention amidst the ongoing war news. The sheer improbability of such an accident involving the world's tallest building was a key element of its notoriety. Subsequently, while the crash didn't lead to immediate, drastic changes in nationwide aviation regulations, it underscored the specific dangers of low-level flight over densely populated urban centers, especially in poor weather. The authority of air traffic controllers in directing pilots under such conditions was reinforced. The financial costs beyond the initial $1 million estimate for repairs also included settlements related to the loss of life and injuries sustained. These processes played out in the months following the disaster. Throughout the era, the Empire State Building stood not only as an architectural marvel, but also as a symbol of resilience. Its relatively quick recovery from such a direct and forceful impact further solidified that image. In the year 1945, a year defined by global conflict's end, the crash remained a distinct and localized tragedy. It served as a stark footnote about the inherent risks accompanying the technological advancements of the age, even far from any battlefield. The specific location of the impact, high on the structure, presented unique difficulties for rescue and firefighting teams. Access was primarily limited to internal stairwells, hampering the speed at which personnel and equipment could reach the affected floors. During this period, tales of heroism emerged. Office workers helped colleagues escape the flames, and emergency personnel risked their own safety navigating smoke-filled corridors and compromised structures. The military nature of the aircraft involved meant the Army played a significant role in the immediate aftermath and subsequent investigation. Coordination between military authorities and civilian emergency services was crucial. As events unfolded, the identities of the victims were confirmed and released. The loss included Lieutenant Colonel Smith, the pilot, Staff Sergeant Christopher Domitrovich, and Navy aviation machinist's mate Albert Perna, who was hitching a ride on the bomber. The civilian casualties represented the tragic cost borne by those simply going about their day. Subsequently, memorial services were held for those who perished. The event cast a somber shadow over the city, even as preparations were underway for VJ Day celebrations just weeks later. The damaged section of the Empire State Building's facade, primarily limestone and granite panels, required specialized replacement. Sourcing matching materials and executing repairs at such a height presented significant construction challenges. Lessons learned from the fire containment efforts influenced future high-rise building safety protocols. The rapid spread of fire fueled by aviation fuel highlighted specific vulnerabilities. In the years that followed, the story of the crash became a well-known piece of New York City folklore. It served as a dramatic, if grim, anecdote illustrating the unexpected ways disaster could strike the modern metropolis.